So let's get started. My name is Thea Czar. I am the Director of Communications and Programs for DiscoverE. Joining me today are two lovely panelists, Nancy Pond, who's in the Engineering Management Group at FLOR, and Adriana Johnson, who is with the Diversity and Community Relations Division at Rockwell Collins. Thank you both for joining us today. And we're going to have a great panel discussion with them in just a few minutes. But before we do that, we're going to showcase all of you that have joined us today. So today's participants, we had over 900 folks register for this webinar. It is our largest registration ever, so that's very exciting. 32 countries people come from, and want to do a quick poll and find out if you're a teacher, an engineer, an engineering undergrad, a STEM professional, or others. All right, 25% of you are teacher educators, 33% engineers, 16% STEM professionals, 25% other. That is terrific. I'm gonna go back out to our presentation. All right, so we just like to kind of get a sense of who all of you are and what your what your interest is in Engineers Week and DiscoverE. And then here's our program dates. Future City is our middle school competition program. 6th, 7th, and 8th graders design and build cities of the future. And you'll hear a little bit more about Future City as we go along. Engineers Week this year is February 18th to the 24th. Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day is on February 22nd. Our Global Marathon, which is aimed at women in engineering, it's a free international conversation about issues that transcend borders, is March 7th through March 4th, a little different format for some of you who participated in that in the past. It'll be one session a week. And Global Day of the Engineer is on April 4th, and that will close out Global Day of the Engineer. So our theme for this coming year is Engineers Inspiring Wonder. We're really excited about this theme because we think it really encapsulates everything that we do during Engineers Week, from things like introducing students, introducing engineering to students, being a role model, sharing engineers' accomplishments, celebrating your colleagues, and encouraging others to volunteer. So as you're going through this presentation, I want you to think about, how will you inspire wonder? All right, so I promised you a panel discussion, and here we go. Nancy, the first question is for you. As an engineer, why do you volunteer?
Thank you, Thea. Really, one of the reasons I volunteer is when I was graduating high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I had a personal passion and interest in the math and sciences, but I didn't want to become a math teacher, and engineering just never crossed my mind. It was actually through my high school guidance counselor as well as the junior college counselor who introduced me to an engineering class where they had just different engineers that came in and spoke to you about their careers. They had the different various four-year universities that were nearby to talk about their engineering programs. And that's what really kind of piqued my interest. One of the things I never thought about as a child growing up is I would sit in the garage with my father as he was tinkering with the car. Little did I know that was really probably the start of sparking that passion where I wanted to do things with my hands and really learn something like that.
Awesome. Who was the first person who told you about engineering?
That would probably be when I was applying to the junior college and trying to figure out what courses I wanted to take.
Yeah. All right. So tell us a little bit about some of your volunteer experiences.
Things that we volunteer at FLOR, we have a very robust community relations program. It's FLOR Cares, and a lot of the activities we do obviously are to help our community. we really got involved with Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day, where the first year we actually opened it up to our employees, and they brought in their children, and we did some activities with them, as well as we got involved with the Girl Scouts. But one of our big focal points, obviously, is to introduce STEM to really children at school age, whether it's our employees or not. Recently, one of the large events we hosted even on our campus had to do with, we called it Bring Your Child to STEM Day, where it was open to the employees, children of the employees and their families. And we had probably about over 100 kids running through our campus, where we had various activities set up so we could really just introduce them to the different aspects of engineering, the different types that they can do, and just really made it a fun and engaging afternoon.
Oh, sorry, awesome. Tell us a little bit about that picture.
This picture is with a young lady at Girls Incorporated, where we did an outreach event where we just talked about various engineering careers during Engineers Week. And then we worked together. There's a little paper bridge right in front of the young lady, where we actually spent time and we just worked with with the members of the club, and we put this bridge together that Floor had sponsored.
Oh, that sounds fun, fun. Adriana, next question is for you. People often ask me if volunteering at a one-day event or workshop can really make a difference. How do you answer that question?
Thank you. So I would say, yes, it all starts with one day. From the industry perspective, we sometimes only get to see students for a few short hours, and we're lucky for a whole day with students. So like something like a Girl Day. We are in our 17th year of our Girl Day event at headquarters. And to make sure we're being effective, we survey our students before and after our event to make sure that our messaging is getting through to them. So you can see here's the survey that we'll send out before, saying I would consider a career as an engineer, and the students said about 53% aren't sure, and then maybe 40% or 91%. We asked that same question at the very last thing before they leave for the day. And you can see that number that would consider a career jump from 41% to 65%. And we do this every single year, along with a ton of other questions to help us keep improving. And then of course I show this to my management and say, yep, keep me employed because it's working. We also, and then the big thing with us is we lose those students after that day or after those short hours. So again, we are in that 17th year of Girl Day, and anecdotally, girls will come to me that are now mentoring the students, the 8th graders that come in for Girl Day, and I don't think they know what they're getting themselves into when they say, oh, I remember doing this activity when I was in 8th grade, and literally tears come to my eyes, and I grab them and say, guess what, you just told the wrong person that, because I make sure to keep them in touch, and I LinkedIn them. And for example, we had a student, Sarah Mim, who was actually featured in a DiscoverE video. You can see it on the DiscoverE website and on our website, where she came in, told me that, and we featured her. She's actually studying engineering at Iowa State University. And it all stemmed from Girl Day at Rockwell Collins.
That's awesome. Here's a next question for you. How do you help students and their families continue to explore engineering after attending one of your events? You said that they come and then they go, and you're not really sure. So what are some tips you have for the group on how they can do that?
Yeah, and I think a lot of questions that anybody signed into this webinar is ask themselves is, how do you reach the parents? It's always a conversation that everybody has. So what we've done with our Girl Day, and it's an evolution of, we didn't think of this stuff day one. It took a couple of years to get it under our belts. But we actually document everything the girls do that day, and we send home a parent letter. So that right after they take the survey, I say, okay, you have your homework from Rockwell Collins. Please hand this packet of goodies to them, and included is, a squishy airplane and some pins and some giveaways. But also it's this packet with a letter that asks the parents some questions to promote conversation between themselves and their daughter. So, and it's just to elicit conversation to get them going and thinking about engineering and hearing the exciting things they did that day with Rockwell Collins, and say, maybe my daughter is interested in going into a career. And it also provides them some of the STEM programming that Rockwell Collins is involved with, or that we feel is we vetted and we know we've partnered with them. So and it points them to that programming, how they can enroll their students locally. And then we also list out the universities in which we actively recruit from their engineering programming. So it's, here's what you can do tomorrow, here's what you can do 5 years from now, and here's what you can do once you get a career going forward. And I think, yeah, you have that letter, and that's from our headquarters on the webinar, so people can go ahead and click that, download it, read through it, and you can edit it to your heart's content for your own organization or event.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So if people see that handouts button in your control panel, you'll be able to, I think it's right underneath questions, you'll be able to see that. That's terrific. So Nancy, I'm going to turn back to you. You know, Engineers Week is a time to celebrate, to be inspired. How does Floor's Engineers Week, what I hear about this employee competition you all have. Can you share a little bit of that with us?
Sure, Thea. One of probably the biggest events that Floor does during National Engineers Week is what we call the friendly competition, or sometimes it's been nicknamed the not so friendly competition. This is a competition where all of our companies, so all of our offices worldwide, compete on the same day, and the challenge is put forth to build a structure or something, depending on which team designs it. It's really out of basic office supplies. And this year, whether I want to call it fortune or not, the Southern California office is actually in the middle of designing the competition that will be put out for the 2018 Engineering Week Challenge. But one of the other things that we do with this competition is the competition that we did this year in 2017. We work with Science Buddies since 2015, and what we do is we turn it into a student competition where there are grants that are awarded to the best teams. There's so many in each section. So one of the nice things is sometimes when we do our outreach events, we will actually conduct the Science Buddy Challenge, or the Floor Challenge as we've called it, and other times schools will do it on their own. But it's also, I think, a nice way to explain to the students, you have to remember, we actually have actual engineers and non-engineers do this competition. So it's not just for the students. We have to, adults for doing this competition. And like I said, it gets very competitive.
It sounds fun. I got to make sure someday I can go to your offices and just watch. I'd love to be sitting there and watching everyone do that. And for those folks, for the educators and volunteers out there, DiscoverE will let everyone know when the Science Buddy Floor Engineers Week competition launches. It usually launches right before Engineers Week then a call for student submissions, and then it closes sometime in mid-March. Did I get that timeline right, Nancy?
Yes, you did.
Okay, great. All right. So, Adriana, we've talked a lot about, going into classrooms or volunteers. What if a teacher or an after-school educator wants to invite a volunteer to work with their students? How can they make that happen?
I have a couple of answers to this. I do get this question quite a bit at Rockwell Collins, and we've actually formalized our process so that if there is a teacher or an educator that wants a Rockwell Collins employee to come and talk about electrical engineering or help with a project, they would just fill out a form and we would post it to our volunteer boards internally, and then we would match them up basically. And I feel like there's quite a bit of my industry peers doing the same thing. There's also, if you haven't looked into it, each state, a lot of states are now forming STEM ecosystems. Like Google your STEM ecosystem in your state and start getting involved with them and figure out what resources are available to you and what industries are involved in those STEM ecosystems, because those are the industries that are most likely have programming that you can take advantage of for volunteers and employees. And then the big thing with me is when I get, especially in areas where we have a large site and I get this question, I often say, yep, I'll try to find somebody for you. But ask your students. That's always the big thing. Ask your students if they have a neighbor or if they have a parent or an aunt or uncle or grandparent that works at an industry that might fit well with your curriculum or whatever activity you're doing. And those people are probably even more passionate about getting into their children's schools, and have them reach out to somebody like me in their community relations in their organization, so I can give them the materials they need to come into your classroom. And I always say that to them, and it usually works when they do that.
Yeah, it's great advice. I would add, just Google engineering organizations in your area. Universities often have student chapters that go out and do engineering outreach or want to come into a classroom, as well as a lot of engineering societies. The Society, IEEE, the Electrical Engineers, the Society of Civil Engineers, Society of Women Engineers, all do very actively engaged in outreach around the country, and all of the other engineering organizations that I didn't mention all do outreach. All right, Nancy, what advice do you have for the volunteers working with students? You've been doing this a long time. What are some do's and don'ts?
One is you always have to remember you're working with students. So sometimes you can't use acronyms, but really the biggest thing is make sure you have fun. When they see that you're having fun, they have fun with you, and they tend to learn more. It's, finding the right activity. This particular picture is with Girls Inc. during their STEM day or STEM week that they had, and we were making ice cream. And what we tried to do with the students, with the young ladies, is we had a regular ice cream maker, but we had the ice cream ball. We did 2 coffee cans. We did the Ziploc bags. It was really to show them you don't have to have the fancy ice cream maker to make ice cream. There are other ways to do it. And they were having so much fun. Besides that they got to actually eat the fruits of their labor, they just had so much fun with this.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast, and just to kind of see all the different ways that you can make ice cream. And then, did they get to eat it?
Yes, they did. They definitely did. So they knew there was a reward at the end.
Right. So you have your snack built into your activity. That's always my favorite.
Exactly.
All right, Adriana, what advice do you have for teachers who want to get kids excited about engineering?
So this is a big question that I think everyone's trying to crack, is how do you get your kids excited about engineering? It's something that we've, been working on before STEM was even a thing. But what I've found is, keep it active and engaging. I can just talk about the programming that we have. It's always daunting to go to like my CEO and my senior leadership and say, hey, when you talk in front of those kids, just keep it under 10 minutes, please. Because, you've dealt with kids, they zone out after 10 minutes of just being talked to. So when we do have conversations that are longer than 10 minutes, we make sure that it's very interactive. We keep the kids engaged. And then when we do have activities, it's really promoting teamwork. So the very first thing that we do for our Girl Day is just an icebreaker. Like, it's an M&M activity that, it has nothing to do with engineering, but it's more to get them into the event and, get them they're a little scared. It's a little daunting to come into a, corporation and be matched with people they have never met in their lives. So, you want to get them free flowing. And then another thing that we do is we really encourage cell phone use. I went to an event with a bunch of superintendents, and I said, tell your kids to use their cell phones, because in today's world, we're always using them. They're there at your hand. And so we're figuring out ways to integrate them more into our day. And then the big thing for us is, or that we've seen with our Girl Day and from other events, is really connecting engineering to real life and helping the world, and just helping how it helps. Because, like, for example, the Puerto Rico and the devastation that happened there, that flight from Delta that went down there to rescue those people and came back, they were able to do that because of Rockwell Collins weather radar systems. There was another plane that went after them and had to turn around because they actually didn't have our systems on their plane. So you can, look how powerful that is. When I read that story, I actually got chills. Like, this is our company doing this. And if you're a software engineer working on that, you might not be making that connection. If you're a student looking at a weather radar, you're not realizing, wait, this is saving lives. We have a lot of our products on rescue mission aircraft. So when we bring in those kids, we say, yes, you're a software engineer, you're a systems engineer, and you're not directly going in and saving people's lives or helping the world, but it's indirect and it's there and you're helping.
Yeah. No, that's
again,
yeah. Sorry, that's a really powerful story, but I'll let you keep going.
Take it, and I know this is a big question, and we're always asking teachers and educators, hey, do more with less. So I'm going to promote DiscoverE and say, take advantage of the free programming available on their website. And then again, tap into your STEM ecosystem. Google your industry in your area, their corporate social responsibility reports, and see how you can get engaged in that program and get the kids mentorships and internships and all the program that's available to you.
That's terrific. Good advice. All right. So thank you both, Adriana and Nancy. We're going to end the portion of the panel discussion, and if people have questions for either Adriana or Nancy, we're going to hold those till the end of the presentation. But next, I want to go to a poll for all of you and ask you, what motivates you to participate in Engineers Week? Pick the top 2. And Ellen, if you would be so kind as to publish that poll, and we'll see what happens. All right, people are voting away. Awesome. I won't reveal the answers because they're pretty neck and neck back here. What people want to do. When we get to, let's see, 70% vote. Oh, we're a little past that. I'll give people to 75% voting rate. Okay, one more person has to vote. One more. Okay, that's it. Awesome. And we'll share the results. Did we both hit share the results? Okay, here we are. Can everyone see my screen? Do I need to move that over there? So 52% chose I want to engage K-12 students in engineering. 61% I want students to know engineering is a potential career. 50% I want students to understand what engineering is, and 27% want to celebrate the engineering profession. So thank you all very much for that. So to kind of encapsulate some ideas for STEM professionals and volunteers, and for you educators, the next slide is for you specifically, but ways to introduce students to engineering, like the examples that Nancy and Adriana were sharing. Bring students to your workplace, your college campus, or volunteer to visit a classroom or after school. A lot of your companies or engineering societies may have a relationship with a local school. If you're not comfortable directly approaching a school or an after-school group, go through your company, see what they have. Mentor a group of students. Future City, our competition, which is located in 40 states here in the U.S., Canada, China, Egypt, has lots of great opportunities to mentor students. A lot of competitions need good mentors. Bring students to a Dream Big screening. For those of you who may not know, Dream Big is a film, the first engineering film for the IMAX screen, for the large screen. And it's really compelling, and students are walking out of there going, wow, I didn't know that about engineering. I really want to try that. So you can reach out, contact your local museum, see if they're showing Dream Big, and bring a group of students there. Or you can make a presentation at a middle school or a high school on Career Day. Just a few ideas to get you thinking about what you might want to do about how to engage students. There's way more ideas than just those. So educators, what could you do to introduce students to engineering? Well, we talked about inviting engineers or engineering students to speak to your students. Integrate hands-on engineering activities into your classroom. Form a team and compete in Future City if you're a middle school student. Don't wait around for an engineer to approach you about Dream Big. Google it. See if the Dream Big film is playing at a theater near you. Or organize engineering family night at your school. And as we go through the rest of this workshop, I have resources for everybody on how to do all of these ideas. So we don't just give you these ideas and say, good luck. We give you these ideas, and we give you a whole slew of resources that you can use to make them happen. So I'm going to give you a couple more ideas of things to do, and then I'm going to give you the full-on list of all the resources we have. Be a role model. For those of you who are engineers or STEM professionals, whether you know it or not, you already are a role model. People are looking up to you. They're looking for you to kind of tell them what engineering is all about. You can formalize it by being a Future City mentor or a judge. You can sign up to be a Girl Day role model. Or just you can be much more casual about it. Talk to people about engineering. Talk to kids about engineering, your neighbors, your relatives. Go into a classroom. All of those are viable ways to be role models. And then lastly, only 25% of you are interested in this, but 25% were, so we're going to talk about it. Celebrate engineers. Engineers Week is a time for us to celebrate all the amazing accomplishments of what engineers are doing to keep our world safe and to make it a better place to live. So hang the Engineers Week poster in a prominent location at work or school. Organize an Engineers Week lunch or dinner and recognize and honor some of the engineers that are doing amazing things in your community. You can secure a public proclamation or write an article for your newspaper or blog. And then also the power of social media. Here's two wonderful hashtags. We'd love you to post pictures of or quotes or accomplishments or things that you're doing to promote engineering. Share it with the world. All right, so you guys ready for the resources that we have for you this year? We have our Engineers Week kit and Girl Day, and the image right there is this year's poster. We're very excited about this year's poster. It's a very compelling image. So you can order your kits at DiscoverE.org. In the kit is the poster, bookmarks, new activities, and we have different activities between the Girl Day kit and the Engineers Week kit. And if you don't want the print piece, you can also download it directly from our website in the resources and download section. We have our library of 125 plus activities. Here are two new activities, coding without computers. How can you introduce students to programming and kind of the concepts behind programming? That is a really fun challenge for students and adults alike. And then this tape dispenser challenge. This is more, a design challenge where you give students a variety of materials and ask them to create a tape dispenser and make it possible to remove tape from the roll. So really getting their juices flowing. All of our activities you can sort by grade, by topic, by engineering discipline, also by language. All of these new activities this year are in Chinese, Arabic, Spanish, and French, and I think German is our fifth language, but I'm not positive. But you can sort and see all the different languages that these activities are available in. So we also have ads that you can use, downloadable ads where you can encourage your colleagues to participate in Engineers Week. You can encourage folks to talk to girls about engineering during Engineers Week, or you can do Engineers Week. Engineers Week isn't really just a week. It's bringing engineering to life 365, 52 weeks of the year. And also we have a day on April 5th, a Global Day of the Engineer, where we're asking folks to celebrate engineers and inspire wonder. So you really have a nice period of time where you can get out there and remind people through these ads that every day is a good day to talk to a student about engineering. So for those of you who have been tapped to go and do a engineering presentation to a middle school or a high school, but you're like, oh, what do I say? What do I do? You can just download this career presentation right here. It's aimed at 8th to 11th grades. It's 45 minutes. There's videos, there's information, there's PDFs that you can use as handouts after you're done. And all of these things, once you download the actual PowerPoint, so you are free to customize it and make it your own and add your own information. But it's better than starting at that blank page, which is always painful. And that is on discovery.org in the online training section. Also in the online training section, educators. Some of you might be saying, Thea, this is all great, but I've never done engineering in my classroom. Well, we have 3 trainings aimed at the elementary level, the middle school level, the high school level, of how you can start to think about incorporating engineering into your classroom. For some of you who are new volunteers and you haven't done engineering with kids before, we have a training on leading kids through successful engineering experiences, kind of the do's and don'ts, like never hand, and the teachers will know this, never hand out the materials before you want the kids to touch them. Effectively talking to students about engineering. Adriana touched on this a little bit, talking about the creativity of engineering, talking about how engineers make the world a better place, to kind of build on Adriana's amazing story of the Delta flight getting there. One of our future city regional coordinators is a bridge inspector, and the day after Irma, he was one of the first people to fly down to Key West and inspect all the bridges and make sure the bridges were safe for people to get into Key West. So we all have those kind of stories of folks that are out there immediately helping after these natural disasters. And for some of you that might want to be doing a large-scale engineering event but haven't done one before, we have a training for that too. Just some tips and some ideas and processes you can go through to make that happen in your community. We also have images. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm putting together a presentation or a poster or something, I'm always kind of scratching my head going, where can I get a good image that kind of showcases engineering? And here's just 3 images that you can use, but we have 50 on our website, and you can download those and use them on your outreach materials. We just ask that you don't use them in any commercial way, like in an advertisement for your company or something like that. Not that any of you would. And also we have our logos that you can use. All of the Discovery programs have logos, and we're trying to create one kind of unified engineering brand. And there's horizontal and vertical options, though right here I just gave you the vertical options, not the horizontal options. We're almost done, and then we can get to the question and answer period. So social media, you can like us and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. We're out there tweeting quite a bit, and you can follow us on Instagram. And it's not just about following us, but it's also about posting your own plans and events and using those hashtags so that we can all start making some unified noise. All right, so if you could type your questions into the question box. And Ellen, if you would be so kind, since my computer doesn't like me touching the control panel, if you could read out some of those questions and then be our question Q&A person for us?
Sure. Okay, so we've had some great questions coming in. Let's see. Here's one. How can I find a school that is looking for engineer volunteers?
I'm going to start with that. I'm going to take that. That's a great question. If you're affiliated with a company, I would start with them and see what they offer, if they have relationships with schools. And then I would contact schools near you, near either your home or your work, and just see if they're interested in you coming in. Also, Future City is always looking for engineers to come and be mentors. So you can register as a mentor or a judge, and they will connect you to a local school as well.
Great. This question looks like it's for Adriana. How far in advance do you begin the registration process for your events? And is your survey included with the online registration?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually, last year, I actually got feedback from the teachers that they want even more advance notice so they can start planning their coming into our facility. So I actually sent them like the last week of school. I sent them the date and the times as a reminder. And then I will actually send the registration out in the beginning of December. I try to catch them before they go off onto winter break. And then, yes, as soon as they give me the students that they say, yes, I'm coming, and here are my students, we invite each school to have 5 girls represent their school. And so once they get me the names of their 5 girls and commit to the entire day, then I send them the registration link, which includes that survey in it.
Great, thank you. Here's another question. We are a new engineering program at a small liberal arts college and would like to have a panel discussion with professional engineers during Engineers Week to advocate for our new program. How would we work this Engineering Week theme into a panel discussion that would make non-engineering majors want to attend?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Wow, I'd have to Adriana or Nancy, any help on this one, or?
I have some ideas actually, Thea. If they're a new school, is there another more established school nearby that maybe has an engineering program that you can reach out through the student chapter of either SWE or ASME or any particular, if there's a very specific sort of topic, or if they're if there are certain businesses nearby that they do, they can reach out to them maybe through their engineering manager to say, hey, we're new, we would like to do an engineering week panel. Do you have some people who are willing to volunteer a little time?
Yep, all great ideas. And I think it's finding, to follow up on that, it's, looking at some of those companies and saying, okay, what is it about your organization that inspires wonder? What kind of aspects can you talk about? And also thinking about just all of the different ways that engineers are working to, make the world a better place. Is there, with your new program, is there a faculty member who's doing some interesting research that you want to connect to, and just help students at your school understand all of the amazing things that are happening, directly at your school and because of the work that your faculty is doing as well. But we can talk more if you would like. Make a note, Ellen, of who that person is.
Will do. Here's a quick question I can answer. We've mentioned that this webinar is being recorded, and we will put it in the online training section so that folks can watch it after the fact. But also, as an add-on, we have someone asking about getting a copy of the actual slides, the PowerPoint. Thea, is that something we can put up in our resources section as well?
Correct, yes. We put the slides in the resources section so you can download them and utilize them how you see fit. So you won't have Nancy and Adriana, so you would have to, you can use those questions with other volunteers. You just need to switch up the pictures.
Right. And then here's a question asking if there's a host engineering society for Engineers Week 2018.
There is. It is NCEES, the National Council for Engineering Examiners, is our host this year. Is our lead society, I should say. And Bechtel Corporation is our lead corporation this year, along with our leadership council.
Great. And then we have a question about the volunteer kits for both Engineers Week and Girl Day, asking when they will be available. And the answer is now. They are available on our website right now and can be accessed through the shop at the top of our website, also through the Engineers Week page.
Yep, and I just pulled over the next slide so you can see, you can just go to discovery.org and you can order those kits today. They're free, but there is a $2 shipping and handling fee, and that's mostly to keep us out of the bots that troll for free resources, and then your system is overwhelmed.
Here's a question. How can I find out what companies or organizations are making plans for Engineers Week in my city?
I think that is, unfortunately, that is a kind of a one-off question where you'd have to kind of reach out to them. There is on our website, we do ask folks in our upcoming events section to post their events that they're doing, and that really starts to get populated in January. But if you wanted to get a jump on it now, one quick way is to Google who did Engineers Week 2017 in your area, and most likely they will do it again in 2018. And that will give you the short list. I did think that one through.
Here's a question about hosting an event for having a STEM day for girls. And the question was, does a Girl Day event have to, occur on February 22nd? And no, it does not. That is, our rallying cry on that day, but we encourage events, all year long. So anytime you're having an event that encourages kids in engineering, we're on board. Oh, here's a good question. Similar to timing, saying that, asking about Engineers Week timing, noting that this person's school is on vacation during Engineers Week, and can it be run at another time? And absolutely not that you couldn't have out-of-school events during that time. That can be a great way to engage the community during a vacation week, but if that's not possible or you find a lot of people are traveling, then absolutely you can hold it at any time where it's really convenient for your community. That's what we want to see, is that these events happen at times that work for your own community.
And I would say, just as a follow-up, if you're an educator, definitely you would want to wait, in a school in New England, because I know that Engineers Week falls during school vacation week up here in New England. That you would wait, either do it the week before or the week after or whenever. But if you're a company and you know that the schools in your area are, not in session, I know a couple of companies, they work with after-school groups and those out of school time groups, because Boys and Girls Clubs are crowded with kids, as are museums, as are Girls Inc. and Girl Scouts. There's a lot of programming that happens for those out-of-school time groups. So that's another option if you're a volunteer looking for students.
Great. Here's a question about the Dream Big film. I'm wondering about how to access it.
Oh, sure. So you can go to DiscoverE.org, and under our programs is the Dream Big tab, and there's a button right there on that page that says Find the Film, and it will show you what theaters around the country are playing Dream Big. And if you want to, that's your best bet. Any other questions, Ellen? We're coming up on the top of the hour, and
yep.
People have wonderful.
I'm not seeing anyone coming in. I apologize if I missed any. We will certainly go through them after the fact, and we can follow up with you if there's any that we didn't cover. I'm also happy to see a lot of people are sharing some of their plans, which is really great to see.
Oh, awesome. And if you're sharing your plans here, we would love for you to share your plans on our upcoming events calendar. Post your events, because that's where educators can find out events that are near them, that are already being planned, and we can also help make some noise for your events in some of our press releases and on some of our social media posts. So please, please, please post your events in the upcoming events section. And I want to thank our two wonderful panelists, Nancy and Adriana. Thank you so much for your time today. It was really inspiring to hear what you all are doing for Engineers Week and for Girl Day, and all that you do to encourage kids to explore engineering. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Yes, thank you.
All right. And Ellen, thank you for your assistance today and helping me through my technical issues. That is it for this year's 2018 Engineers Week Planning webinar. Good luck, everyone, and go out there and inspire wonder.